Wait, I thought Ben was a libertarian. I don't agree with that. Wait, what do you mean? You can't express who you are? Like, what's it to you, nerd? Shut the fuck up. What is it to you? Why are you so bent that there are people just living free? He's just like, no, I don't agree. Everyone should have the boring, sexless life that I live. All right, let's see. Let's get started with the Ben Shabibo.
One of those areas is the area of transgenderism. The argument that is typically made by gender theorists is that gender is entirely separate from sex. You've seen the argument made that
gender theorists. It's kind of funny whenever conservatives talk about gender, people who have a better understanding of gender than they do, because it is a social construct, no matter how hard they try to make it seem like it's not. They make it seem like motherfuckers are doing alchemy. These are gender benders. Everyone thought that the only elements that you could bend were earth, water, air, and fire. Turns out they're gender bending. It's like you're making it seem way sicker than it actually is. You know what I mean?
That it makes no difference on average if men are stronger than women are, and that if we were to allow transgender women to compete with non-transgender women, then this would somehow not disadvantage biological women. And this seems to me absolutely ascientific, that if we're actually going to have a discussion about gender and sex, that should be based in data, which suggests that mammals are in...
Wait, I'm confused. Why did you just say gender and sex? Hold on. Why did you just say gender and sex? Do you mean like fucking? Like sex as in fucking? Or do you mean like gender and sex as in like two separate concepts that are, of course, related to one another in some ways, but interesting.
In fact, binary in terms of their sex, unless you have intersex birth defects typically or genetic...
Bro, once you realize that like 98% of conservative commentary is just about being a fucking asshole, things change dramatically for you. Like he's vice signaling again. He's like, intersex people are birth defects. It's like, dude, that is so wild. Like, why are they birth defects? Because it doesn't correspond to how I understand gender as a rigid binary. So it's a birth defect. You're a dick, man. You're like, whenever you talk about, it's not a defect, it's not the norm though. Yeah, it's not in the norm. I know. But what is funny about this is like, okay, what's the argument there? Are you going to make a natural argument for sex, like biological sex in the animal kingdom? Motherfucker, seahorses are out here developing ovaries and shit when there's not enough ladies around. Appealing to nature is already stupid. It's already a logical fallacy. When you appeal to nature, you're basically talking about like the gayest shit that anyone could have ever imagined. The most trans and the most gay shit ever happens if you've had a dog ever, if you've like ever adopted a dog, or if you have like an animal, okay, in your house. You already know dogs are gay as fuck, straight up. So it makes no fucking sense. Like, to talk about nature when like nature is way more gay than humans who also exist in nature. Nature in the wild, unrestricted, is super gay, like omega gay and omega trans. You know what I mean?
Defects.
I'm happy to opine on this. This only matters because today we segregate nearly all sports by gender. Otherwise, why do we even give a shit? what someone identifies with? So we live in a free country, and with consenting adults and people free expression of who and what they are.
Yeah, on adult level, I agree with you. I think it doesn't matter what you teach
That's what I'm
children.
saying. And so,
wait, I thought Ben was a libertarian. I don't agree with that. Wait, what do you mean? You can't express who you are? Like, what's it to you, nerd? Shut the fuck up. What is it to you? Why are you so bent that there are people just living free? He's just like, no, I don't agree. Everyone should have the boring, sexless life that I live.
so there's the matrix of what you are biologically, how you express yourself, who you choose as a sexual partner. If we actually live in a free country, as we tell ourselves, people's freedom to behave in any of those ways should not concern you at all. Nor are they requiring that you behave that way. Okay,
Well,
this is for their own freedoms because we live in a
Yeah, no one is forcibly transing Ben, okay? Even though he would be cute. We have seen photos of Jen Shabibo, and, she ain't
free
bad.
country. Now, what is unresolved here is, what do you do with sports? It's unresolved. And I've followed that closely, and I don't see any meaningful solutions to come down off of that. We know that hormones manifest differently in different people, and there's the whole thing with steroids. Steroids are hormones, right? And we rallied against steroids in professional sports because it gives you an undue advantage. So, and I've tried to think of what the future of sports would be in the world of a gender spectrum. And it may be, you don't specify whether it's a male or female sport. You just take measurements of what your hormonal balances are. And so you compete based on your hormones. This is thought I had. I don't know. I don't know where it's going to land.
The WNBA won't be in business for very long if that's the case.
I disagree. I think, like, first of all, if trans people were as like fire at athletic competition as the way conservatives claim that they are, and not just like a bunch of coder sock wearing Hearts of Iron players who love modding Fallout New Vegas, and just, you know, being left alone and memeing and shit. If trans people were just like that fucking good at athletic shit, then trans women being incorporated into a space that's otherwise dominated by cis women literally bring more eyeballs and therefore more revenue to all of these sports, genuinely uplifting female sports in general. But of course, that's not the case. Like, it just comes from a place of living in fear and in, I guess, in an otherwise insulated existence where you are so far removed from the existence of like real trans people in the real world. If that was the case, if trans women were just fucking goated at sports, like just across the board, if that was the case, then, like, you know, more people would probably watch. It'd be more entertaining. It'd be more interesting. It's just like, you think it's happening because, one, there aren't that many trans people in general, and there aren't that many trans people that are competing in athletic competitions. But the reason why you think it's happening is because whenever a trans person actually competes, it becomes a matter of news. Everyone always talks about it endlessly. And we are, unfortunately, lizard-brained dipshits, all of us, right? We're all super lizard-brained. So when we get stimulated by something that's like fascinating and new, a phenomena, right? We immediately have this bias called recency bias, where we assume that this is happening way more frequently. And is it frequency bias? Is that what it is? It's both recency bias and also, I guess, it's just our biases that are plugging the holes that we have. I mean, there is basically another analogous comparison that I can give with respect to the Nashville school shooting, which was conducted by a trans man, was transitioning rather recently, an AFAB, assigned female at birth, trans man, did the Nashville shooting. And it was the reason why I'm explaining it with these terminology that maybe some people will, why does it matter that they're trans? Exactly. No, that's my point. That's the point that I'm making. It doesn't matter, right? This is America. This is the United States of America. Everyone does mass shootings. And we know that over the course of the past 5 years, almost 3,000 mass shootings have occurred. And the overwhelming majority, like almost all of them, have been done by cis men. There have been 3 trans people that have done mass shootings over the course of the past 5 years. There have been almost 3,000 mass shootings, and yet they make it seem as though, like, the right loves to make it seem as though like trans people are out for blood, right? It's not. It's not a thing. It's not like a commonplace occurrence, and the facts do not correspond to your feelings in that regard. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's vibes based. Isn't the reverse is true though? Achievements are further highlighted by whether they're trans or not. No. Trans victories, albeit very, very rare, are highlighted in the media to say, look, they're always, because the corresponding biases that people have is that trans women are biologically men and therefore have the same advantage that like cis men have over cis women. So they point to that to say, this will wreck sports. It's not fair. No part of sports is supposed to be fair. That's why sports is fun. But people hyper-focus on it. People hyper-focus on it and cut these kinds of arguments, cut these kinds of videos to instill transphobia. And it can be in an innocuous way. It can be as like unrelated to like people's daily existence, whether it be like, the one 14-year-old trans girl that's like doing a high school swim meet versus it could be something like the school shooting where it's like, this is how all trans people are. This is how all trans people are.